Welcome to Imam Ali's legacy for exploring the timeless wisdom of Imam Ali through the profound teachings of Nahjul Balagha. Our channel aims to shed light on the invaluable lessons and guidance imparted by Imam Ali, covering a wide range of topics including spirituality, leadership, justice, morality, and philosophy. Through detailed explanations, reflections, and insightful interpretations, we bring Imam Ali's words to life, helping you connect with his divine wisdom in today's world. Whether you're seeking spiritual growth, intellectual enlightenment, or simply a deeper understanding of the teachings of one of history's most influential leaders, this channel is for you. Join us as we embark on a journey of knowledge and inspiration straight from the sacred texts of Nahjul Balagha. Subscribe to stay updated with weekly content, including sermons, letters, and sayings of Imam Ali, along with their meanings and practical applications in our lives. 1. Talhah, he played an important role in the siege and the cutting of water supply. He was commanding the group of the people who were bent upon killing Othman. On that account, Marwan killed him in the Battle of Jamal, as we read in al-Athar Vol 4 p70 and in Ibn Khaldun Volume 2 p397. This very Talhah later came out as the avenger of murder of the Caliph and carried out the propaganda that Imam Ali 249 was responsible for Othman's murder. He was one of the chief instigators of the Battle of Jamal. He had instigated the people to kill Othman with the hope of succeeding the caliphate. When he was frustrated with it, he lied against Imam Ali, referred to Sermon 179 of Nahjul Balagha. 2. Al-Zubair ibn al-Awam was considered the number one enemy of the Caliph Muhammad 2i, p. 118, p. 58, Mujal Dahab of Masyudi, Volume 2, p. Later, Al-Zubair, with motives like those of Talhah, staged a rebellion against Ali and was the prime initiator for the Battle of Jamal. On the battlefield of Jamal, Imam Ali, orders given to him by the Holy Prophet reminded him of the about Imam Ali. Al-Zubair left the battlefield and was riding to Medina when he was killed by Umar ibn Janus, who was neither in Imam Ali's army nor his own companion. Imam Ali felt sad at Zubair's death and said, although he later turned into a bitter enemy of mine, in the early days of Islam he was a good defender of the cause of religion. Refer to Sermon 12, 3. Amr ibn al-As was the third bitter enemy of Othman. Tabari gives a detailed account of the way he insulted the caliph in the mosque and says, nobody was more pleased at the murder of Othman than Amr ibn al-As. The reason was that he had been deposed from the governorship of Egypt by the third caliph. Later, this Umar joined Muawiyah as a claimant for retribution of the murder of Othman. When the events from year 11 AH to 34 AH were unfolding, took no part in the affairs of the state. In the words of the History of Saracens, he was endeavoring in Medina to give an intellectual turn to the newly developed energy of the Saracenic race. In the public mosque at Medina, he delivered weekly lectures on philosophy, logic, history, explanation of the traditions of the Holy Prophet and the verses of the Holy Quran, as well as Muslim law and rhetoric. Thus, he formed the nucleus of the intellectual movement, which displayed itself in such a great force in the later days. Those lectures and sermons were compiled during 40 years following his death by Zayd ibn Wahab al-Juni Rijal al-Kabir. Many of them were lost, but some of them are preserved in Nahjul Balagha Masyudi. 3040 AH, 5 days after the death of Caliph Othman, by a unanimous election in which representatives from Basra, Kufa, Egypt and Hijaz took part, Imam Ali was elected as the Caliph. This took place on the 24th Ador-e Eric Schroeder in Muhammad's People, printed in England in 1955, says, 5 days after the murder of Caliph Othman, the people gathered together and decided, we know no fitter man to be him than Ali, but will he take the burden of imamate? Some answered, pressure him at home till he consents. They all gathered at Ali's house with such eagerness that they were pushing and crushing each other. They called to Ali CERs and said, if we go to our homes again without an imam and caliph, such a strife will stir as will never again be stilled. You will have to consent to be our imam and caliph of Allah. Ali replied, small longings have I for this authority, yet the believers must have a chief, and gladly will I accept temporal authority of someone else. Nay, you have more right than I, said Talhah. One who stood nearby forced open Ali's palm, and Talhah swore the oath of allegiance to Aliyah. Al-Zubair did likewise, and from Ali's house they brought him to the mosque. Everybody thronged around him to swear the oath of allegiance to him as their Imam and Caliph. The spirit of Islam says, It might have been thought that all would submit themselves before his glory, so fine and so grand. But it was not to be. Al-Zubair and Talhah, who had hoped that the choice of people might fall on either of them for caliphate, balked in their ambitious design. Smarting under the refusal of the new caliph to bestow on them the governorship of Basra and Kufa, they were the first to raise the standard of rebellion. They were assisted by Al-Mu'minin Aisha, who had taken a decisive part in the former elections. She was the life and soul of the insurrection, and she herself accompanied the insurgent troops to the field riding a camel. Ali, with his characteristic aversion to bloodshed, sent his cousin Abdullah ibn Abbas to adjure the insurgents by every obligation of the faith and abandon the arbitrament of war. It was to no avail. Al-Zubair and Talhah initiated a battle at a place called Karaba and were defeated and killed. The battle is called the Battle of Jamal Camel, from Aisha's presence in a litter on a camel. Aisha was taken prisoner, treated with courtesy and consideration, and escorted with every marks of respect to Medina. She was sent escorted by brother Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr, referred to as al-Kufi 4 pp. 548-565. Dar Dabi Safavul 2221 Abilda pp. 528-520. After the battle, Umm-ul-Mu'minin Aisha felt that even though she had brought about this insurgence, she saw that Imam Ali was treating her with utmost courtesy and kindness. She requested that her nephew Abdullah ibn al-Zubair, who had been commander-in-chief of the rebel forces and was taken prisoner, Imam Ali granted the request. Marwan got nervous, thinking that as the two worst enemies of Imam Talhah and al-Zubair were killed and Abdullah ibn al-Zubair was excused and pardoned, the burden of vengeance might fall upon him. He requested Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein to plead for his cause. They requested his pardon, and he was also pardoned. Years afterward, the very same Marwan made his archers shoot arrows on the dead body and bier of Imam Hassan, and later he persuaded the governor of Medina, though unsuccessfully, to immediately kill Imam Hussein on his refusal to accept Yazid as the caliph. Then an order of general amnesty, peace and forgiveness was issued. Every opponent was forgiven and every prisoner was released. Al-Mazad al-Zabi, p. 28. Ali's officers and commanders in this battle, besides his sons Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein and Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiya, were the following companions of the Holy Prophet: Aparduan, Abdullah ibn Amir, 3 Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, 4 Hassan ibn Thabit, for whom the Holy Prophet had said that his sole testimony would be equal to the testimony of 2 witnesses, 5 Qays ibn Sadi ibn Abada, 60 Ubaidullah ibn Abbas, 70 Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr, Kindi, 9 80 ibn Hatim al-Tai. The victory gave Ali time to consolidate his sovereignty in Hijaz, Iraq and Egypt. According to Masyudi, with the honesty of purpose which always distinguished him, he disregarded all advices for temporizing. Several of his advisers counseled him to defer the dismissal of the corrupt officers previously appointed until he was himself sure concerning who were the enemies, but this hero, without fear and reproach, refused to be guilty of any duplicity or compromise with injustice and inequity. Therefore, immediately after his accession, he gave orders for the dismissal of the corrupt and tyrannical governors, for the return of fields and states which had been previously bestowed with public revenues among the favorites of the rulers, and for the equal distribution of the public revenues among the Arabs and non-Arabs, black and whites, masters and slaves, rich and poor. These orders gave great offense to those who had enriched themselves under former administrations, and his endeavors to remedy the evils which had crept into administrations raised a host of enemies against him. No sooner was the rebellion of Talhah and al-Zubair suppressed, Muawiyah, an Umayyad by descent, a man who had held the governorship of Syria since the time of Umar, raised the standard of rebellion. Abu Sufyan, his son Muawiyah and his clan Banu Umayyah had little sympathy and no faith in Islam. Masyudi in Muruj al-Dhabolvai says that when Abu Sufyan had grown old and blind, he was sitting in the mosque and there were Imam Ali, Abdullah ibn Abbas, and many other Muslims besides them. The Mu'adhin, the caller to prayer, started the adhan. He reached the part, "I testify that Muhammad is the Prophet of Allah." Now Abu Sufyan said, "Look at my cousin," meaning the Holy Prophet, "see where he has placed his name." Imam Ali became angry and said that it was done by the order of Allah. Tariq al-Khamis, vol. 2p. 97, printed in Egypt, says that Abu Sufyan advised Banu Umayyah to treat the caliphate like a ball and to pass it on from one to another of their clan and never let the ball out of their possession, saying, For I swear that there is neither punishment nor judgment, neither the heaven nor the hell, and neither the resurrection nor the day of reckoning. His son and his clan accepted his teachings, followed his faith, adopted his advice, and obeyed his orders. In the very beginning, Muawiyah had made fools of Talhah and al-Zubair. According to Ibn Abul Hadid, when Muawiyah learned that people had sworn the oath of allegiance to Imam Ali, he wrote to al-Zubair that he had taken the oath of allegiance for him and for Talhah as his successor. The whole of Syria was ready to back them, and they should try to overthrow Imam Ali's regime and accept the caliphate which was awaiting them in Damascus. Refer to Sermon 12 of Nahjul Balagha. Thus, exciting these two old men, Muawiyah kept Imam Ali busy with their rebellion and secured time to make his government more powerful in Syria. Talhah and al-Zubair, with their rebellion, had done a great service to Muawiyah's cause, but now they were no longer living to serve his purpose. Therefore, he approached Mughira ibn Shu'bah, who had originally tried to converge with Imam Ali but was repulsed by him, Marwan ibn al-Hakam, Walid ibn Uqba, Abdullah ibn Umar, Abu Haraya, and Amr ibn al-Az. His best friend was Amr ibn al-Az. Although Muawiyah had to pay a heavy price governorship of Egypt and more than 10 lays of dinars to purchase the fidelity and faith of Umar, the later events proved that it was the best investment that Muawiyah had made in his life. He also collected proofs that Ziyad ibn Abi was actually the son of Abu Sufyan born in Sin, and not the son of a slave Ubayd. This change of fatherhood was officially, though shamelessly proclaimed, and Ziyad proudly became the natural brother of Muawiyah. Zayd proved himself to be a man without a conscience, without any remorse, without faith in Islam, and without any consideration for human rights, but a very useful ally to Muawiyah. He was Muawiyah's second best friend. Histories of Tabari, Rawzat al-Safa, Jamal, Kufi, Murud, Dahab, Abul Fida, the camel of Ibn Athar may be referred to for details of the above-mentioned facts. With these henchmen beside him, Muawiyah staged a rebellion against the elected caliph, Imam Ali. After settling Chaldea and Mesopotamia, Imam Ali was forced to march towards Syria to face Muawiyah's forces at a place called Siffin. The previously noted books and Simon D. Oakley of this battle, which was an extensive one. Tabari, Vol. V. p. 577, Rawzat al-Safa, 425, Abul Fida, p. 425, narrate in details the orders issued by Imam Ali to his officers and soldiers before the battle, as these orders give a clear indication of the principles and methods laid down by Imam Ali as to how jihad, holy war, should be carried on. I have briefly copied them here. 1. Never begin a war yourself. Allah does not like bloodshed. Fight only in defense. 2. Never be the first to attack your enemy. Repulse his attacks, but do it boldly, bravely, and courageously. 3. While declaring yourself and your deeds via the medium of Raja's martial poetry, a custom in hand-to-hand combatants, never waste your time. Instead of speaking about yourself, speak about Allah and the Holy Prophet. 4. Never follow and kill those who run away from the battle or an encounter, as life is dear to them. Let them live as long as death permits them to live. 5. Never kill wounded persons who cannot defend themselves. 6. Never strip naked dead moms or outfit. 7. Never cut noses or ears of dead men to humiliate them. 8. Never submit to looting and arson. 9. Never assault nor insult the modesty of a woman. 10. Never hurt a woman even if she swears at you or hurts you. 11. Never hurt a child. 12. Never hurt an old or a feeble person. This battle started on the 1st of Safar 38 AH and lasted for more than 2 months. During this period, about 18 encounters took place. In the beginning, in his usual humanitarian nature, Imam Ali endeavored to bring about a peaceful settlement. But Muawiyah was inflated with pride and wanted impossible conditions. To avoid unnecessary shedding of blood, Imam Ali offered to end the quarrel by personal combat. But Muawiyah, realizing who and what Imam Ali was, declined the challenge. In spite of every exasperation, Imam Ali commanded the troops to await the enemy's attack, to spare the fugitives and to respect the captives. Once, during the encounters, Amr ibn al-Az and at another time Bizr ibn Arta faced Imam Ali in the battlefield. They did not realize until the encounter started that the warrior facing them was Imam Ali. One blow was sufficient to send them down from their horses. When they found no way of escaping his sword, each one of them, in his turn, immediately stripped naked and fell down, turning their faces towards the earth and backs towards the sky. Both armies laughed at those life-saving antics, and someone suggested that Imam Ali kill them. In the case of Amr ibn al, as he replied, cannot kill timid dogs. He has begged for his life in a shameless and humiliating manner. I cannot dirty my arms with the blood of such a cowardly and shameless person. These rebels were defeated in 3 successive battles. Muawiyah was ready to fly from the field when a trick of his accomplice, Amr ibn al-As, saved them from destruction. He made his mercenaries tear the Holy Quran into many pieces and to tie those pieces to their standards, then shout fall. Even when the sacred pages were not available, mere rags were tied to the lances. There were some persons, 255 in the army of Mamlaka, who were bribed by Muawiyah. Among them all, Ashad ibn Qais was one. As per orders of Amr ibn al-As, they and their soldiers desisted from the battle and forced other soldiers to desist as well. They gathered around Imam Ali and called upon him to refer the dispute to arbitration. Imam Ali saw through the ploy practiced by the rebels and tried to make his soldiers realize it. But the claimer of the army led him to consent to the course granted. He then wanted Abdullah ibn Abbas to represent his side in the arbitration. Again, a part of the army, under instigation of al-Ash'ath, demanded that a weak and old man named Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, who was also secretly hostile to Imam Ali according to history of the Saracens, be nominated as an arbitrator from this side. There was immediate danger of serious factions arising in his own army, which might have developed in a bloodshed. Therefore, Imam Ali acceded to the demand and Abu Musa was appointed as an arbitrator. Muawiyah was represented by the astute and cunning Umar ibn al-As. They both decided against Imam Ali, who, deprived of the fruits of victory by a section of his soldiers and faithless officers, retired in disgust with a part of his army and faithful followers to Kufa. In the Battle of Siffin, one of the famous companions of the Holy Ammar ibn Yasir and another great favorite of the Holy Prophet, Uwais al-Koni, fought for Imam Ali and were killed in the battle. The men who had been, with ulterior motives, most clamorous at Siffin for arbitration, felt that their hopes could not be realized. They repudiated the arbitration and denounced it as sinful. They openly mutinied against Imam Ali, therefore they were called Kharijites. From Kufa they withdrew to a place called Nahrawan, which was on the border of the desert. They assumed a threatening attitude, killing some officers of the government and many respectable men, women and children. They refused to listen to reasonable advice to join duty or to return home. Their conduct at last became so serious that Imam Ali was forced to attack them at Nahrawan. That encounter is called the Battle of Nahrawan. The majority fought, but a few escaped to Bahrain and Asadal is in the eastern province of today's Saudi Arabia, the only country in the world named after its ruling clan. Al-Saud, where they formed the nucleus of a fanatical horde which later assumed various names and adopted various guises. Abu Musa had also retired to Medina, where he subsequently received a handsome yearly pension from the court of Muawiyah. Refer to Tabari Abul Fida, Azim al-Kufi, Rozat al-Safa, Muruj al-Dahab, the Kamil of Ibn Athir, and the short history of the Saracens. From the day of ascension as caliph to the last day of his life, Imam Ali did not get a day's rest in peace. It is a wonder that facing the heavy odds that he had to encounter, how and when he could get time to introduce reforms in the government, to lay out fundamentals of grammar for Arabic language, to deliver sermons on theology, rhetoric, philosophy of religion, wonders of creation and nature and duties of man to Allah and man, to advise people in the most persuasive style, to suppress the tendencies for innovation and schism, which had crept in the minds of Muslims, or to introduce and bring into effect principles of a benign government. After dealing with the rebellion of the Kharijites, Imam Ali had to face the problem of consolidating his control over Egypt. He had sent Qais ibn Sa'd as a governor there, but had to call him back and send Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr in his place. Unfortunately, Muhammad, though brave and sincere, was no match to Muawiyah and Amr ibn al-As. He was forced by Muawiyah into a battle. Muhammad wrote to Imam Ali, who sent Malik ibn al-Ashtar for help. But Malik could not reach Egypt. He was poisoned on the way by Handayat Tabari, Vol. IV. P. 521. Muhammad was informed of this fact. That young man faced Amr bin al-As alone, was defeated in the encounter, killed, and by the rose of Muawiyah his dead body was burnt and his ashes were strewn. Tabari Vol. IP 592. Imam Ali's words at the news of the death of Muhammad show he loved the young man and how the youth loved him. After Muhammad, Imam Ali had to send some experienced officer to Egypt. He was busy with that problem when Muawiyah organized bands of guerrillas with orders to loot, murder, arson and rape. These bands were to attack in waves against the provinces of Hijaz, Basra, Ray, Mosul and Herat. Imam organized defenses of these provinces, defeated these bands and freed the country from earlier harassment. It would have been very easy for Imam Ali to divert the minds of masses towards foreign invasion and thus make them busy in murder and plunder. It had always been done by rulers and is even today considered as the best form of employing energies of a rising nation as well as the easiest way to form an empire to propagate religion. But Imam Ali hated bloodshed, did not believe in imperialism and had no faith in propagation of religion with a sword in one hand and the Holy Quran in the other. He believed Islam to be a message of peace and love and wanted mankind to be ruled on the basis of equity and justice. Therefore, after strengthening one province after another and fortifying their defenses, he introduced reforms to create a benign temporal state and never considered expanding his domain. By the time he got complete control over those problems and could organize an army to liberate Syria and Egypt from the reign of terror which had held them in its sway, the fateful month of Ramadan 40H arrived.